Hello, in this video we're going to look at the meetings menu at the top of your Adobe Connect window. So to get us started, I'm going to go ahead and open our meeting room. I created a meeting room early, the Commodity Management Task Force meeting room, to host meetings for that group. So I'm going to open that up. And when our window opens, you'll notice that at the top of the screen you've got several menu options. And we're going to look at the meeting menu in this one. So if you click on that, you're going to notice several higher level pieces of information here. This gives you as a host access to all kinds of higher level commands and features of Adobe Connect. I'm not going to so much focus on meeting information. That would actually take me to the back end, and I've already set all that up, so I'm not going to adjust that much. In preferences is something that you can kind of explore on your own along with Audio Wizard setup. I would say these are things you would want to have in place before the meeting starts if you want to change anything there. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. What we're really going to focus on here are some of these other options. So to get us started, let's look at the Manage Access and Entry option. Now this is something that I would recommend that you use selectively. And when you get a meeting started up, you're probably going to want to go in here and make sure that none of these options are checked off so that you know there's nothing blocking participants' access to your meeting room. But in certain circumstances, you can use these features to your advantage if you want to hold people out of the meeting room for specific reasons. The first option here is your block guest access. I suggest never using this. This is going to block the access of anybody who doesn't have an Adobe Connect account, so people would actually need to be subscribed, and the vast majority of people who log into our meeting rooms are guests, so they're not going to have an Adobe Connect account. The second one here is block incoming attendees, and this could be useful in some circumstances. So if you have a meeting that's going on and you don't want people slipping in the middle of the meeting room, at least without permission, then you can choose to block incoming attendees. And if I were to select that option, it would allow me the option or the opportunity to give guests who are locked out of the meeting room the opportunity to request entry. So me as the host, if somebody's trying to get in and I've chosen this option to block incoming attendees, I'll get a message saying, okay, so-and-so wants access, and I can accept or reject that person. So this can be useful in some circumstances if you want to limit or control entry to a meeting room, especially after a meeting has already gotten started. I'm going to hit cancel here because we don't actually want to activate that. And when I go back to my Manage Access and Entry options, the third thing here is place participants on hold. And what this would do, if you were to select this, is it would lock all the participants out of the meeting room temporarily. So people who are actually in the meeting room at the moment, if they're listening to the presentation, if I were to click on this, all of them would be placed on hold except for me because I'm the host, and so they wouldn't be able to see anything that's going on in the meeting room. So probably not a great thing to have on, but something you should at least be aware of. Auto promote participants to presenters. It would, if you were to select this, then regular participants who came in would automatically get promoted to presenter status, which I wouldn't recommend that if you want to have control over who has microphone access and who can manipulate things like the PowerPoint presentation and stuff like that, because anybody who's in as a presenter will be able to flip through the PowerPoint or do other things meddling with the window that you might not want as a host. So, among these options, I think the most useful for you is probably going to be block incoming attendees for specific reasons. So you could use that before a meeting gets started to kind of put people on hold and not let them in until you're ready, until the meeting's ready to get started up. Or you could use that during a meeting if you don't want people just slipping in later on, to keep people in the room who are already there, but limit access for newcomers to the meeting room. The second option that I want to show you under here is record meeting. This is pretty straightforward. If I were to click on this, it would allow me, first of all, to name what my recording is going to be, and it's important that I choose a unique name here because, for any particular meeting room, you could have dozens of occasions where you've recorded the meeting. So I would just want to put some kind of indication here of what it is that makes this recording distinct. So I'm going to put CMTF meeting, and then June 8th, to just call that out and make it distinct. And as soon as I hit OK, it's going to start a red dot up here in the corner, and I have the opportunity to pause the recording or stop the recording. Even after this disappears, I can scroll back over this and click on it and then go to one of these options. So that will automatically start the recording, and I can keep it recording throughout my meeting. If I go back up here to the tab, you'll see that I also have the pause recording and stop recording options now available to me over here. Okay, so really important piece of information there. One of the more interesting features of Adobe Connect is that for presenters and hosts, you can have a unique area that's only for you that regular participants cannot see, and that's presenter only area. So I'm going to click on enable presenter only area now, and you'll see that this space to the right side of my screen pops up. And this is a window that's only available to presenters and I, so anybody logged in as a participant will not be able to see this. And this is really useful because, you know, as questions are coming into the chat box, for example, you could copy and paste them over here to a notes pod on the right. You can keep reminders in the window for yourself, like to hit record, something that I often forget. And you can have your own chat box, right? So you can use this to chat and communicate just among presenters so that you're not needing to use your voice or use the main chat box here that all the participants can see. One of the things over here to the right that's kind of useful is for the host, you have a pod here that can measure and track engagement during a meeting. And what this looks at is it's got an algorithm that it uses data around, you know, have people been communicating or using their microphones, have people been using chat box, have people been filling out polls, and it even goes as deep as to look at whether or not the window that people are using on their computer, the webinar window, is the primary window that's on their screen. So if they put that window in the background and they're doing some other work, you know, that would return a lower engagement value for that point in the meeting. So this can really be useful to gauge at any particular point in the meeting, A, how many participants you have, and B, what the level of engagement is. And you can identify those low points where you might in the future want to go back and try to incorporate more engaging activities or things like that to get people more involved and paying more attention to your meeting. So a really useful area that you can have over to the right of your screen and that you can adjust in and out. The last thing that I'm going to go over up here under your meeting tab is prepare mode. Okay, so before we actually go into prepare mode is going to allow me to play around and adjust layouts. And you'll notice that as the host, you'll see the layouts over to the right side of your screen here. And I'm just going to do a quick review of layouts for us. So layouts, you'll recall, are arrangements of pods. So if I click from one layout to another, it's going to change the arrangement of pods on my screen. And I'm going to want to make sure that for every time I'm planning to rearrange pods, add a new pod in there, like a new chat pod or a new window or a new presentation, that I have a unique layout available on the right for that different arrangement. These are really easy to create and delete. You can delete them by clicking on the little X in the corner of any existing layout. So I could delete this by clicking on this. It's going to give me the option to just confirm that I want to delete that. I'm actually going to leave this one in. And you can create a new layout by clicking on the little plus at the bottom here. So I'm actually going to add a layout here, and I'm going to duplicate this layout that I have up and that's selected over here in the corner. I'm going to call it presentation. And the reason I'm going to create this is because right now I have a placehold slider here. So it has like the name of my task force and other general information, but I don't have a presentation, you know, like that the actual presenter is going to give up in a window yet. So I'm going to drag this up here because it's actually going to be the second presentation layout in a row that I'm going to use. You know, people are going to start off with this first layout and then we're going to move into the second one. And something important that I want to point out is that if I want to switch this out, right, and I were to click stop sharing because I want to upload a new presentation, it's going to stop sharing not only with this layout but also with my other one. You know, so I'm up here on the sharing layout and the presentation or the slide that I had up has also disappeared here. And the reason for that is that I'm using the same pod in each of these. So if you want to have two different presentations and you want to have pods in the same place, in the same location on your window, then you're going to need to create unique share pods for each of these. So I'm actually going to close out this share pod. I'm going to hide it, and I'm going to upload a new share pod. Okay, it's gone on to my presenter only area. I'm going to drag it over here, and you'll see that this one is called Share 5. to give me a unique name for that pod so I can distinguish it from the other. I'm going to go back to my sharing layout here, and I'm going to bring back up that document that I had up, that placeholder document. So share document, and there's my placeholder slide right there, so I'm going to hit OK. So it's loading that back up. And then under this one, under presentation, you'll see that since it's a unique share pod, it's different than that other one. I don't have any document here yet. And I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to share a separate document. I'm going to share my presentation. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And you want to make sure that you don't move away from the screen before this is done loading. Because if you do, if you move to a different layout before that's done loading, then it's not going to complete the load. Okay? So now that I have two unique share pods in here, I can have two unique presentations or PowerPoint slides, and that will allow me to really easily, when it's time for the presentation, just click on the new layout and it'll bring that up. Now let's say a meeting is started, right? We're here on the main screen and the meeting is started and your facilitator's talking and you realize, oh no, I need to go change something in this second layout. Well, if you were to click on that layout and shift the arrangement of pods, it would change for all of your viewers. All the participants would see the new layout up on the screen. Okay? So if you wanted to keep this first layout, if you wanted to keep this placeholder slide up, but you wanted to go and change something in your presentation on another layout without disturbing things, right? Without other people seeing any change in what's going on their screen, then you would want to go up here to Meetings, to the Meeting tab, and go to Prepare Mode. So you'll see that when I click on Switch to Prepare Mode, first of all, this goes light blue. And over here in the corner, my layout that is active is in light blue. And I have this yellow dotted line that goes around whatever layout I'm viewing. So I can actually flip around here, and you notice that the yellow line moves because I'm looking at other windows, but all your participants are going to see this light blue layout. So they're going to continue to see that first sharing layout with your placeholder slide. And that'll allow me to really easily go in here and adjust things in other parts of my presentation. So if I wanted to, for example, hide this, make these smaller, adjust all of these different features of this layout, I could do that without disrupting the presentation that's going on the other screen. I'm just going to add a poll in here. Poll. What's your favorite color? It sounds like a great poll. We're going to add that one up here. Okay, so once you're done with your changes, then, so I've got my poll in place, I've made the changes that I want to on the back end, then you can go back up here to Meeting and you can click on End Prepare Mode, and it'll take you back to the main screen that everybody's seeing. So now at this point, there's no yellow dotted line up here anymore, and if I were to click around, it would change the view, change the layout for all the participants. So everybody in the room is going to be able to see those changes. Okay? So that's really, those are the main things that you're going to want to know under the meeting menu. Remember that when you're done with your meeting, go ahead and stop your recording, and then there's some things that we'll review in a separate slide, a separate video on how you can manipulate that recording itself. All right, that's it for this video.